Good evening. My name is Alun, and this evening in my time, I'm facilitating the first of 5 sessions, April being a long month as far as this evening is. 5 sessions of a Hearts of Wulin variant called Coeur de l'épée. This is a part of the Gauntlet RPG community Hangouts calendar, the calendar in which we put all kinds of games that you can come and play with us. If you'd like priority access to those games, they're all open to the public, but if you want priority access to those games, then we would welcome you joining our Patreon, which will also give you access to our monthly zine. Well, it's frankly but much better. Zine, it kind of underplays codex, so the Gauntlet Codex. Of course, you could alternatively just go and buy them from drive-thru, but for very little money a month, you could get one for free. So yes, Hearts of Wulin is the root game for these sessions. It's a game set in Wuxia, China, and it is it's had a successful Kickstarter. We're expecting the final book to arrive sometime, I guess between now and the summer, or at least my fingers are crossed. But as part of that Kickstarter, there were a number of stretch goals, and one of them was to just tweak the base game for play in a kind of romantic interpretation of the Musketeers, the Man in the Iron Mask, that kind of thing. I will stress this is not in any sense historical France. As it says, I think at the top of the document, c'est français, ce n'est pas France. So it has all the kind of trappings of France, but I know the players will not be at all bound by any of the history at all, unless they want to be. And so we're playing swashbuckling, we are playing secrets and betrayals at court or around court or in triggered by the court of the Sun King, Louis. And we'll see how that goes. We'll play to find out what happens once we know a bit more about our characters. So what I'd like to do is start, please, by just asking the players to just say hello, tell us anything they want to plug, and then just give us a very brief pen picture of their character at this point. And I'll go in the order of the character keeper, if I may. So, Stephen, say hello and tell us about L'Enfer.
Hi, I'm Stephen, he, him pronouns. I'm playing L'Enfer, she, her pronouns, who is the most glamorous actress and the most reckless duelist in all of Paris. She is notorious for her affairs, none of which have ever touched her heart. And I imagine every one of my entanglements will involve at least one and possibly 2 people that are or have been my lovers.
Gosh, we're off to a roaring start then. I can see that getting complicated. Sorry, I should have pointed, it's on the screen, but I am he, him. Leandro, say hello and tell us about Nathalie.
Yeah, my name is Leandro, use he, him pronouns for this series of Hearts of Wulin, 3 Musketeers edition. I'm playing Nathalie Duchemin, uses she, her pronouns. She's using the Specialist playbook, which I think is new for this version of Hearts of Wulin, using the spy character role. She is the last Duchemin, whose family died in a fire that only she survived. Spent the years using the family fortune and probably with the help of a faction, which I just thought about this in the last minute, that yeah, she should be part of a faction, but probably with the help of a faction and using the last of her family fortune to present like an unassuming face in public, you know, in the most shallow sense in public. Obviously, like everyone else here, probably all the other characters know what she is actually like, because she spent that time since her family's death to amass skills in weaponry, knowledge, and spycraft to ensure no hurt can touch her. She is, as I mentioned before recording, essentially an Assassin's Creed character, and that's who she will be. But we'll see. We'll play to find out, of course.
Thank you, Leandro. Moving on, Sabine, say hello and tell us about Mateo Betancourt.
Hi, I'm Sabina. Use any pronouns you want. And I am going to play Mateo Betancourt, who is the son of Colonel Isidore Betancourt. He grew up in Spain for some reason. Maybe his mother was Spanish, or maybe not. Who knows? He doesn't. He has never met the person, unless, of course, at his birth, which he doesn't remember, but hell. Well, Mateo is recently come to Paris. He's using the student playbook, and he's a hopeful apprentice. He's young, he is innocent, or as innocent as you can be. He's young, he is innocent, he has a rapier, and he will use it for good, because that's the kind of guy he is. He's probably very confused about what good actually might be, but well, he'll try, and if he makes mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. What can go wrong? The world is his, and he's young, and anyways, yeah, I think he's that kind of guy. Oh gosh, he's that kind of guy.
I think he's certainly that kind of guy.
Okay.
Right, thank you for that. Moving on, Pavel, say hello and introduce us to Volo Aventine.
Hello, I'm Pavel. I use he, him pronoun. I will be playing Volo Aventine, who also uses he, him pronoun. So far, this character is a bit of a carte blanche, because I'm trying to fit it with all other characters. What we know for sure is that he's a seasoned soldier, either in a military regiment or in the cardinal. I think the cardinal brute squad should be called like purple something, purple cloaks or something. So we'll see when we talk about factions where he will end up. He's a seasoned swordsman, and he's always caught in between his duty and himself. I will try to include some of the more of the difficult entanglements with either being blackmailed or blackmailing someone else. We will see how it will end up. He is. Because I usually play this game with a lot of fire, because it's reckless passion and everything. I decided to put -1 over there, because I think that every time Volo goes like berserk with like creativity and passion, things go just wrong. So he shouldn't, and he tries to control himself, but well, sometimes some reckless action is required. So. Gaston, which is very important, is a very handsome man. He's dressed modestly, and over his clothes he has like a faction garb, a faction uniform, a faction garb, and he's and I put an interesting thing. I put an astonishing mustache as his look, and I imagine that he totally has like mustache that like are like he spends like an hour just like making them sure that they go like side and up. And then like a very short, just like a smaller than my beard, just like, so that the mustache is the thing that catches the eye. And yeah, and of course like a cloak, and his fighting style is a little bit different. He's using saber and a pistol, because as a military guy, he probably rides horses a lot. So sabers are like much more useful. And gun, you don't have to like get to the guy to shoot him. So that's probably what they teach in the military school.
That's great. We will try to find an appropriate reputation and opportunity to play the astonishing moustache. Okay, can we talk about factions then? Now, in this game, there are 7 factions in play. 2 of them will support the crown. 2 of them will oppose the crown. And I'll explore with you what form that might take. 2 of the factions are of uncertain loyalty, and again, we'll define what uncertain means in that context. And 1 is destroyed or believed lost for whatever reason. So let's go back along the character keeper then, and start with Pavel. Do you want to nominate a faction? Now, each of you will belong to one or be associated at least with one of these factions. So keep that in mind. So, Pavel, do you want to identify a faction?
Yes, I would love to. I would go with the setting material that we were suggested. I would introduce that the Cardinal Arnaud Robertine, who is of course opposing the crown. I think he's like the high priest. I'm not sure what's like a country leader in a church. So
I think in the setting materials, the cardinal is intended to be the head of the Catholic Church in France.
yes,
So
that's
he
what I
is,
mean.
yeah. So he's subsidiary to the Pope, but at this time he has a lot of free play. So do you want to put? Is it the cardinal is the face of this faction? So what is the name of the? Is this the Catholic Church, or is this his own private army? What do you think?
I feel it's more cardinal and his private army. I kind of want to leave a religion and church kind of on the side. They are hiding behind the authority, or maybe that's really needed. You know, I think I would put it like a French church without saying it's Protestant, Catholic, or whatever else we want, because he's the head, so he can slightly steer it the way he wants. So I think I will put like the French church.
The state church, okay. Now I'll be honest with you, I will struggle to do anything but play it as Catholic.
I just if you want this to be Catholic, sure. I just wanted to like make it open so that.
I think if it's going to be, we might as well stick with the setting material. He's head of the Catholic Church, so let's have the Catholic Church currently opposing the crown. I will, while we're talking, tell you that the lines and veils tab is there for you to look at. I've put some starting lines and veils in. Feel free as we are talking to put any in, because it just occurred to me I should have asked if anybody wants religion to be ruled out. So if that is the case, I might come back round to you, Pavel. But let's stick with the French Catholic Church and Cardinal. I can't remember his name. It's Robertin, isn't it, or something like that?
Are not Robertin?
Yeah.
Robespierre would be the Robespierre. No, that's somebody else.
No, that's later.
That's later, but it's still a French name.
Yeah. No, none of the names in the setting material fit the historical France, just to create a bit of distance. So you won't find Cardinal Richelieu round the corner, but I have a suspicion he may be surprisingly similar to Richelieu, our cardinal. Okay, moving along the character keeper then to Sabine. Would you like to nominate a faction and allocate it to support, oppose, uncertain, or destroyed?
I think I would like to say that my dear old father has been a busy person, and he has I believe he might have tried to play one side against the other for personal gain mostly, so that might be uncertain loyalty. He is a colonel in the king's army, and that means that his front is, of course, that he is a very loyal and very true and upright French soldier and would never do any blah, blah, blah. Anyways, he is politically very active, and he has a large portion of the army under his control. So he might be a dangerous foe, but he's not exactly a friend of the cardinals, but sometimes he sees the cardinal's point. So I would propose that this is sort of an army faction. I'll call it the Betancourt regiment. I don't know. Yeah, why not?
I mean, poor boy, to then end up having to be given a job in the regiment named after your father.
Well, yeah, I think that's just, I mean, I'm his son, so it's kind of fair, isn't it? Even though I'm probably not, he probably wasn't married to my mother. I'm not very sure. Nobody tells me anything. Okay,
and do you want to then fill his name in as well as the face of that regiment?
Yes.
Well, Sabine is writing, can I ask, are we sticking with the idea that Lion Fernet is mother of Mateo?
I don't think we're sticking with anything yet.
Okay.
Anything you've put in, I think, is open to change as these factions develop, because this may well change your starting thinking.
I'd say so. I mean, she might have a son my age that was given to that was put into Spain to be raised, but if that's me, we can still leave that open. Or who's my father?
Right. I was going to establish that Isidore Betancourt is an ex-lover, and that I am of an age where it would be possible.
Yes, that I like. I mean, I like having
there may be a physical resemblance.
Can I suggest that we keep that detailed discussion until we've nailed down the scaffolding here? Yeah. So we have the Betancourt regiment led and mustered by Isidore Betancourt, and we are establishing at this point that is Mateo's father. Yeah. And we'll see where this takes us. Okay, Leandro, would you like to nominate a faction and tell us where it stands in this spectrum of loyalty?
Yeah, I was looking through like some of the examples, and the Crusaders invited are basically the Templars, so stay away from them. I mean, I was taking inspiration from Assassin's Creed. It doesn't mean I want to take too much inspiration, but I do want to nominate a secret society of some sort.
And I simply lifted some examples from Seventh Sea and Witch Hunter. So feel free to invent any you like. They are all inspiration, not setting.
Okay. Who? Actually, when we say a faction is destroyed, that means that like they're not like a known threat, but there might be like one or two lingering members who could be a threat, right?
Conceivably, yeah. So they are believed to have been destroyed, and we'll destroyed as heretics, as in battle. Pays you money, takes your choice. We can fill in the detail shortly.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. I'm a bit. Yeah. There's a lot to do. I think my problem is I don't even have a nemesis yet. So, or much entanglement. I do kind of want, like, sorry, I am just looking at the Templars basically, but I do want them as like a destroyed sort of faction. Maybe very recently they were dragged out into the open, and kind of like, oh, they're the ones who really propped up the crown. But so it's kind of like a semi-recent scandal that like, oh, turns out the crown is being scaffolded by this secret group that apparently has centuries-long history, and so right now the Crusaders' name is mud in France, because now there's like a bunch of all the other factions, like all these different military regiments and the French Catholic Church, who are separate from these Crusaders apparently, has decided to like just break away. So I think most of these Crusaders are kind of like it's seemingly defunct right now. Like it's not fashionable, like, or they may have just gone further underground. But if you find like if anyone there is claims to be a member, they probably have like access to some sort of knowledge or affiliations or contacts. But for them, it's hard times for the Crusaders.
I get that. And I tell you, if you put however are you going to call them the Crusaders in Violet, or are you going for something else?
I'll keep them as Crusaders, for sure. I don't want to get B2 on the nose and just name them the Templars.
Okay. I'll give you a moment to think of a face for them, unless you want to give us one straight away.
Mm-hmm. I'm probably gonna make it my. No, I'll give it a thought. Come back to me in a moment.
Okay. Stephen,
a question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Are we streaming live on YouTube or somewhere, or is it just recording? You're muted.
Of course I am. It wouldn't be me if I wasn't muted. No, we're not streaming live. We're recording. I mean, I'm hoping that you'll all feel able to release it to go live, to be published when we're finished. Leandro, I'll give you a bit of time to think about it. Stephen, would you like to nominate a faction and tell us where it sits?
Well, the Théâtre Spectaculaire, for which then Voltaire acts, I believe they support the crown, and let's say that the leader of the theater is Charles de Vray.
And when you say supports the crown, how does a theatre company support the crown?
Well, for one thing, I think the king is their royal patron, and they are known to favor the crown. The theater is never completely non-political, so when they present plays, they will often take jabs at the cardinal and to some extent the church. Mostly the cardinal. It's not anti-religious. It's anti-cardinal.
Okay, that's fine. Every regime requires a publicity arm. Fine. I like that. Then let's go round again and ask Pavel. Do you want to nominate a second faction?
Yes, I would love to, and I think it would be cool for them to be named Apostles of the New Dawn, and I'm thinking they are the arm of the Illuminati who are mostly in France. They are nobles, and they support the crown as if they want to France remain as it is, quite decadent, quite in a weak spot. But they don't want the France destroyed because they need this like place over here so that the Spanish can like fight with the French and everything, and the English have like the problem in the sea. So, but they don't want the France to be like ruling everything. So I think it's cool. Like Apostles of the New Dawn, which are like mostly nobles. So it's hard to say. Like I think there could definitely be another faction of the nobles somewhere, if someone else was to pull the nobles to the other side. But I think those are like.
So is this a secret society?
Yes.
So the king won't necessarily know who is a member and who isn't a member. Is that fair?
King wouldn't know because I think they sometimes meet, or king has some like letters from them, but whenever someone goes to meet the king, they are wearing a mask so that the king can never know who they are. So I think they meet, king know that they exist, king can like contact them and address them, or like send one of us to go talk to them, but they are like very protective of their privacy.
Okay, I like that. So where are you putting them? I wasn't quite certain where you're putting them on the spectrum of support.
I'm putting them on the spectrum of support. I'm thinking about the leader.
I mean, let's be clear. It needn't be a leader. It could be simply the face that we will see during this series. So it needn't be the top person. It could well be an acolyte of the apostles. It could be someone in a relatively lowly position. Because I want to make sure we've got a decent mix of those faces. Some of them at a level you could comfortably socially interact with, some of them above you, maybe some of them below you.
Cool. I just like want to put like not like a full name. It's probably like not a true name of someone. I want to put like Genevieve over there, and like some people might know, we might hear that the Genevieve gave the order, and it's probably not like a real name, but like a nickname for someone who is the leader.
Yeah, and that would fit with them being, generally speaking, anonymous. Fine. Yeah. So Genevieve is a representative of the Apostles of the New Dawn. Fine. I would like to add a faction to oppose the crown. I'd like to add Spain. Before that slot is used up. Would anyone like, because, I want to give you the biggest part of this, but would anybody veto that one? Oh, I was hoping not. Okay. The Kingdom of Spain. And I think that I will nominate someone, not the ambassador, but I think, let me call him, I'm struggling now because I'm going to go with, I may change this name, but my brain's gone blank. Hugo Diaz, the ambassador's valet.
Isn't that the name of your character from Passion?
And that's why my brain has gone blank on any Latin names as we speak. I apologize. He will almost certainly look like a slightly down at heel Anthony Hopkins. Sorry, bleed. Okay, where did I got to Pavel? Let me skip across to, let me go every other now. Let me go to Sabine and ask you to identify us the final faction.
I mean, I have an idea about, the Knights of Rose and Cross, but in a more secular way, like a faction of young, hot-blooded people who are very loyal to the idea of France and la grande nation and doing the right thing and honoring honor or whatever. They're very idealistic. And I put them somewhere between the crown, because the crown is pretty corrupt, and the cardinal, because the cardinal is also pretty corrupt. And they might be some sort of firebrands for justice and against decadence. But they don't want to necessarily cause a revolution, but they might. They are, I think they are led by a young firebrand of a woman who is called Amélie. And she will go by a nom de plume for her, because maybe I have to look up what nightingale is in French, because I want it to be in French. Rossignol, right? Yes, it's Rossignol. Amélie Rossignol. Yes. Okay.
And are you just going to call them the firebrands, or?
Yeah, the firebrands is fine.
That's what it says on the tin. Makes it sound slightly less organized and perhaps rather more recently developed, perhaps.
Yeah, I think maybe they used to be some part of a more traditional kind of fighting club, but then they came across some people who were more revolutionary minded, and now they're the firebrands and are out for justice and honor and things like that.
And in terms of where they sit in the social classes, is this a gentlemanly or gentlewomanly organization, or does this span the social classes in a way that that most other societies don't?
Afraid they are. They used to be young noble people, but then they met some commoners, and they are also out for justice. And anyways, justice isn't served by honoring people just because their great-great-grandfather was a cool guy. So yeah, I guess I think they're very disorganized and still debating what they're really after. And proto-revolutionaries, I guess.
Yeah. And so it is the kind of society in which some of the social limits that might otherwise exist have dissolved. Is that fair?
Yeah, and that's why they all use their first names and a birth name after that.
Okay.
So you can't identify a family. You can't say, but my father is so-and-so, and yours is only so-and-so.
Truth, justice,
name.
And the French way. Okay.
Yes.
Stephen, can you tell me something about a recent scandal that rocked the court? Because it seems to me L'Inferne would be perfectly placed to tell us about that.
Oh, yes. Let's see. Oh, well, Prince Louis, he recently fought one of the cardinal's men in a duel, a priest who probably should not have been fighting, but you know, these priests are not always quite as peaceful as you would think.
And how did this duel end?
He was right. The Prince Louis was was fighting the priest. I'm trying to come up with a name for this priest, and I'm just completely blanking.
Well,
anyway,
we'll fill the name in later. I'm curious how it fell out.
I mean, he was fighting this priest in a it was a graveyard. They were fighting by moonlight because they were trying to keep this quiet. At least Prince Louis thought it would somehow be kept quiet if they did all. It was sort of a spontaneous thing. It's like they had this quarrel. They went out immediately to the graveyard. They didn't light lanterns because they didn't want anybody to notice. And normally a fight like this, it goes until first blood. But the prince stumbled over the rough ground and sort of lunged forward, and it wounded the priest severely. They sought medical treatment, but the priest actually died. If he hadn't died, it would have just been hushed up. But
what I'd like to suggest that rumors abound about the nature of the disagreement and what triggered this duel. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that seems fair.
And I'd also like to give the cardinal a significant amount of skin in the game. So I'd like this priest to have been the cardinal's confessor and private secretary. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good, because absolutely nobody will believe that this was an accident.
Surely not. Okay. Leandro, I've got a question just about, because we've got our factions now, we've got a little bit of gossip going on, but it strikes me, given the description of our character, you are closer to the underbelly of Paris than the other characters. Does that seem fair to you?
Yeah, that seems right.
So what's the gossip in that underbelly, that dark and shadowy underworld of Paris, about the greatest threat the crown faces?
I think the greatest threat to the crown is in, and obviously this comes from like whispers of people down on the ground who probably think they know better, but they probably do know better in terms of what's happening on the ground. It's like the biggest threat to the crown is kind of the crown itself, especially when we've got these scandals of like princes getting killed, dueling Catholic priests and all that. It does seem like there is a, and again, because it's proto-revolutionary, there is like a sense that the crown is getting into wars and fights, and it's just thumbing their nose at kind of everything. It's definitely eating itself up, and there are many like probably criminal organizations or secret societies that are either, the vast majority of them are like making plans to like survive to survive whatever scandal, whatever disintegration, whatever change happens to the crown. They're not there. Yeah.
No, go on.
I guess like those that are like at least there's a majority, not a majority, but I guess there's a significant chunk outside of the factions we know that aren't really, I guess if they're supporting the crown, it's a very self-serving sort of, we're only getting as much as we want. The rest are kind of like waiting to pick the bones of whatever happens. But
circling vultures.
Yes, yeah. And obviously like we've got our Illuminati who are invested in the crown. But those who are less invested, they are just like waiting for opportunities.
I've written down threats to the crown, its own corruption, its appetites, and I've described it as a bloated carcass. Do those phrases meet your approval, or do you want to just as aid memoirs for me?
Yeah, no, that sounds perfectly fine.
Okay. So we know which factions are in play. What I'd like to go now is to go back to characters, and I'll just explain to our thousands of viewers that one of the key, the hub, if you will, of the Hearts of Wulin system are a series of entanglements. In the normal game, there is a general entanglement and a romantic entanglement. In the spirit of this kind of picaresque romance, those will drive the story to a significant extent. Coeur de l'épée adds to those entanglements a nemesis. A nemesis, you can never defeat, the characters can never defeat their nemesis. Their nemesis will always come back, keep coming back until something really very significant happens. So we know we've got these factions in play. We've got some faces for the factions, and we have the characters and the stories as they've told them so far. So what I'd like to do is to let me start then. Let me go over to Stephen and talk about L'Inferne. Would you like to nominate general, romantic, or nemesis as your entanglement, and put it on the table and see if anybody selects it?
All right, for my nemesis, I would like to take my ex-lover, Colonel Isidore Betancourt, who Mateo's father, who hates me for
reasons.
Right.
Sorry.
Well,
sorry.
Hates me for my current immoral lifestyle for having thrown him over long ago and having become a notoriously wicked woman, and he will do anything to ruin or humiliate me.
And I notice you've added, and I don't want to hold you to this, he wants me to beg for mercy and forgiveness.
Yes.
Okay, that's a nice meaty nemesis. So we will expect Colonel Betancourt to make life complicated for L'Inferne. Okay. Does that hang okay with Sabine, as you are the
so
apparent
much.
son of Isidore?
Yes, so much. I love this.
Okay. What I'd like to do is to one of the rules of the game is that at least one of the people mentioned in your romantic or general entanglement needs to be one of the other player characters. Yeah. So let's carry on that line then.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because something that I wrote earlier in the chat, maybe we could discuss at least which way our characters are leaning, because are we as a characters kind of like oppose the crown, support the crown? Are we like opportunists? Because I'm still trying to decide what my faction should be, and I'm not looking into some heavy player versus player in this game. I don't know. I think we are kind of like more of a heroes should be, and I'm just like thinking where do we lie on the oppose the crown, support the crown, status quo.
Right. Well, L'Inferne is part of the Théâtre Spectaculaire, which supports the crown in general.
Nathalie,
and I should also mention that one of my moves that I picked for this character, the Golden Knight, which gives me a lavish wardrobe, also comes with a retainer, and the retainer I chose is my maid Emily, who is an English girl. She speaks French well, but with an accent. Mouse brown hair, plain compared to me features. Wears unstylish and unmistakably English clothing. I'm bringing this up now because players might want to use her in their entanglements.
Thank you for that reminder. Certainly, well, of course, everyone looks plain compared to you.
Yes,
and we all know
exactly.
that the English dress appallingly.
Yes, it is very stylish to have an unstylish English maid.
Yeah, she certainly makes you look even better. So we have Emily on the table. In terms of factions, Nathalie, just which of the factions do you intend to associate yourself with?
Yeah, I think probably around the Firebrand, because trying to think, because actually no, I do want to be one of the secret societies, so it's probably going to be the apostles. Let me just change this. What I wrote down here. Yeah, but I think that's who she's associated with. That's who kind of like made sure she got her feet. But Nathalie cares about Nathalie. If she had to make a choice between saving her own skin and supporting the crown, she'll go with the former rather than the latter.
Well, let's be clear here. We're determining which faction you are associated with. That does not mean that you automatically, completely, or always follow their views. Yeah. So don't feel that you character are bound to the position. You may start there, and that's the environment in which you may sit, but don't feel that you're bound with that. Yeah. So are we going to put is Nathalie going to sit with the Apostles of the New Dawn?
Yeah.
Okay. Then Sabine, Mateo, you penciled in the Betancourt regiment. Do you want to stick with that, or
Of course. I mean, at least in the beginning, Mateo has come home. He has met his father. He's quite in awe of his father, and of course, he believes the Betancourt regiment to be loyal to the crown, though. I mean, and I think what we need to do less is to fixate on the factions we're living with, but to say, okay, our characters all have some sort of moral core where they will not brook any kind of major injustice or something like that. And that might draw them together, even though they are from different factions, which I believe would anyway be the more interesting way to look at these things, when people from different backgrounds come together because they share a common, I don't know, a common core of honor or something like that.
I suppose we may discover that in play. What I don't want to do is to force everyone to start there, because there may be some interesting journeys to be made. Then, Pavel, does that help in terms of where the factions, where their faction associations sit?
Yes, that kind of help. I think that then Volo will be, I should probably know how to pronounce my regiment name, Betancourt regiment, yes. Then I think Volo is also Betancourt regiment.
That's fine. I'm curious, socially, where does Volo sit? Is he the second in command of the regiment? Does he command a company in the regiment, or is he a butterfoot soldier?
He has authority. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough moves to pick to pick the one that everyone knows me and fears me. But who knows? Maybe for the last session I'll manage to buy it. Who knows?
Okay. So he's an officer.
I think he is an officer. Yeah, I think that means fair.
Okay, and therefore, as loyal to the crown as Mateo thinks his father is. That's of course obvious.
Yes, like fighting for the France, dying for the France, and regarding social standing, I think Volo will be like not the high nobility, but like somewhere like low nobility. But it might change with the entanglement depending what others gave me. But I think somewhere like in between the nobility. Fine.
That would suggest that perhaps he's been promoted to a position of command because of his competence. Perhaps we'll find out. So that gives us some idea where you all sit. Let me go back to entanglements. What about Nathalie's entanglements? Where would you like to start, Leandro?
I think I'll follow Steven's tack and start with a nemesis, because like I've always like I kind of leave general and romantic stuff for last anyway, and we have this nemesis stuff. I think I've decided Nathalie's nemesis is her hitherto unknown, turns out survived the fire younger sister, Victoire Duchemin, who will interfere with all my plans because she believes I abandoned them when we were young. I didn't know she was alive. She got taken by the Templars. I didn't know that they had risen her up. They basically like raised her as a weapon against the nobility, for sure. And so she's only kind of like resurfaced once the Crusaders were destroyed, and so she's using like the last of those resources to like basically wage war against me. And
what would her, if she could describe the fate that she wants for you, what would that fate be?
my utter annihilation. Like, she doesn't want me to beg for mercy or forgiveness. In contrast, no, she wants me ruined.
Well, ruined is different from ground into the dust, so that she can bathe in your blood. So
well, ruined is going to be step one. That's the thing.
Okay.
Yes. We go from ruined to ground into the dirt.
Okay. Could you add a sentence to the end of that says, she wants me to be ruined? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Moving along. Sabine, where would you like to begin in terms of offering up some possibilities for Mateo?
Well, I have formulated my nemesis, and I also have formulated one entanglement. I'll start with the entanglement, or maybe I'll bring in the nemesis first so that other people might use him. My nemesis is I accidentally humiliated Captain Jerome d'Abanville when coming to town, and now he wants to see me brought low. Because, well, I think this was more like he was, I don't know, he was trying to seem like a grand person who was challenging the young Spanish boy brought in from the country with still Spanish dust on his shoes. And it didn't go so very well for him because, first off, I am not Spanish but French, and I know how to use my rapier. And I was doing it in a friendly fashion, but when I told him who my father was, he kind of realized that he couldn't just stab me in the street. And everybody laughed at him. And he hates me now, of course. I don't realize that. I think that was a friendly sparring we had, with rivalry, but everything is kind of like friendly stuff, and he just wants everybody to laugh at me like they laughed at him.
And he wants to see you brought low. Is that
yes?
Fair?
Yeah, he wants to see me humiliated, like in front of everyone.
Oh, well, would you like to add that little bit of detail to that nemesis, then, please?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, Pavel, what about what does Volo want to put on the table? Does he want to start with nemesis as well, or do you want to go somewhere else in entanglements?
I was really trying to pick something from the suggested ones for the setting, and there was a lot of dealing with blackmail, but I found one of the interesting. But I have to ask because one of them reads, "I know of a plot by my peer against the noble," and of course put here 2 names. But I'm not sure if it sounds from the story like Nathalie might be having some beef with some of the other nobles, but I'm not sure if that's true. If it will make some sense.
Could you repeat the entanglement you picked again?
I know of a plot by my peer against the noble, and of course put names of the peer and the noble.
Yeah, I think part of the court, the crown eating itself up is nobles stabbing each other in the back, climbing over each other. I think it would make sense. Like, I mean, Nathalie might even be plotting stuff as well, mostly to protect herself, but absolutely would make sense if other nobles want to take her out.
So the question is, what would I know about your plans? Because I know of your plot. So do I only know that you plan to? So let's give this noble a name. Do you think it's some French noble or someone from Spain?
Maybe because we do have Spain is a factor here. Maybe Yeah, just to like mix it up. Maybe it is like some. Maybe it is some. Maybe it's even the ambassador himself, Hugo Diaz.
Oh yeah.
He probably thinks like I'm some sort of weak link in the court because I'm the only Duchemin. Well, there's my sister who just popped up recently, so easy prey. Someone that like probably. I'm imagining, the Spanish are having this like thought to like just easily tick off, at least discredit as many French nobles as they can. So I'm retaliating back.
So this is a plot by your peer, somebody, against the noble Nathalie Duchemin. Is that?
Or is it the other way?
Oh, the other way around. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I put it into antagonist. I know of a plot by my peer. I would just like leave Nathalie because I think we are sort of the same social class, but I'm not sure. I know of a plot by Nathalie Duchemin against Ambassador Hugo Diaz.
Yeah, I think like just to like mix it up. I think, I think that makes sense. It's probably
just to clarify. Hugo Diaz is the ambassador's valet.
Oh, he's the ambassador's valet.
Now
okay.
that doesn't mean it can't be against him as a way of getting at the Spanish.
Oh, I should have seen that. Yeah, the valet. I think that makes more sense then because valet, easy target. It's easy into the Kingdom of Spain. I think this kind of like ties into what I said about my character, who seems the paranoid type, who has amassed all these skills to like protect herself. And like if Spain is throwing this weight around, then I'm trying to get my hooks in there.
Okay, let's go back round then to L'Infern. General or romantic, Stephen? Which one would you like to offer up to the table?
Let's see. I'll do a romantic entanglement. I am in love with Victoire, my rival at the Théâtre Spectaculaire, known as the Nightingale. Not knowing that she plots against my friend Nathalie Duchemin. How does that sound?
Yeah. I thought we had another Nightingale as well, or is that just the last name of the face of the firebrands?
Yeah, she has taken that as last name.
I missed that.
A different bird would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay. I just come up with a different. Sorry, I'm just trying to come up with a good name.
I was doing the same thing, but like the only thing I come up with is the Vatour or the Vulture. That will make her more a criminal than an actress. I like making her like.
What about Alouette? That would be a lark.
That's okay. Alouette. That's fine. Victoire Alouette. I assume she has adopted a stage name.
Yeah. Like maybe like she didn't even claim the name Duchemin until quite recently, until the Crusaders were forced out. Maybe she had another name when you knew her, and maybe like let me double check. You didn't know I was her sister until maybe she told you at some point, or maybe she told you like, she doesn't like that Nathalie Duchemin.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out, won't we? Because at the minute, all we know is that she's called Victoire. We may know which Victoire that is, but who knows? Who knows? Okay. While Stephen's typing that in, let's move along to Leandro. General or romantic for Nathalie?
Yeah. The thing is, this is usually the entanglement's usually the part that I struggle a bit. Can you come back to me again? Sorry.
I certainly can. Do bear in mind that at least one of the boxes, one of the gaps in these general or romantic entanglements needs to be another player character. So keep that in mind. Okay, moving along. Mateo, what about Mateo's entanglement?
Well, I have chosen to do this as a general entanglement, not as a romantic one, because that might be weird. But the general one is my father, Colonel Isidore Betancourt, has forbidden me from ever seeking out La Fin. Yet she fascinates me.
Can you work with that one, Stephen?
Oh yes, I fascinate everyone.
Yes, it's true.
Yes, something I think that will become increasingly obvious as we proceed. What about Volo, Pavel? Which one do you want to put on the table?
Somehow the romantic entanglements always have been lost. I just have no idea.
Well, I'll let you think about it. I'll come back to you. Let's go back round. Stephen, what about, so we're left with L'Enfin's general entanglement. We've touched on her love life here. Is there something to be said that would relate to her reckless duellist alter ego? Oh, you are muted. We'll pop back in momentarily.
Gives me more time to think of romantic entanglements.
I mean, I have to say, in Hearts of Wulin, I always play them as chaste and impossible to deliver romantic entanglements.
Yeah, because they are such in Hearts of Wulin. In France, it's like, the age of decadence, and it's kind of.
Oh yeah, but innocent love is an attractive characteristic in any protagonist. Let's see if everybody else is having any trouble. Yeah, the others were dumped as well by StreamYard. How odd. Hopefully, the link worked with you, so fingers crossed it'll work for them. But this gives you the perfect time to just, bounce some romantic entanglements about.
Yes, I rolled 12. I'll win the game. Thank you.
Yes, last man standing.
Yes, last man standing.
I mean, it does. It does worry me because I noticed when because I used Zoom this afternoon for a family birthday party, and a couple of times it seemed to be really struggling. So I think the demand on bandwidth across the world is just enormous at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm slightly worried that they're not coming back. Gosh. StreamYard won't let Sabine in. If the worst comes to the worst, right, server error at Leandro's end. Right.
Maybe start another session.
That's what I'm wondering. I've heard nothing from Stephen. So Stephen's getting a temporary error. So, okay. Desperate measures.
Alun, maybe let's try another StreamYard if you can set it
Yeah,
up.
that's what I'm saying.
And if it fails, we can also call each other on Hangouts, or there is something called Google Meets.
Yeah.
For some conference. So
yeah, let's see that. So Pavel, if you leave the studio, I'll end the broadcast first because we've got an hour's worth of play there.